Good morning and welcome to the Daily Reset. The core idea of today is very simple. Feel the day. We spoke yesterday about emotional sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty, and that's because nothing moves without emotion. Nothing moves without emotion. One of the most and simplest powerful frameworks that I have ever come across that explains how a day goes or a week goes, a month goes, is by Tony Robbins when he says there are three forces that shape what happens in your life, and it's strategy, story, or state. Strategy, story, or state. Strategy is about what you do, the actions you take, the choices you make. It is the behavior that shows up. Story is deeper. Story originates from beliefs and values. Beliefs and values. Two people can whisper into your ear. One of them is an intrusion, the other one is an affirmation. One is delivering a message, the other one is intruding into your space. Two people, same action, the meaning is different because the value, the relationship, the context you are in. But the deepest one, the most powerful, is state. I have shared this before. I simplified it and I wanted those who have never seen it to see this. This is transformed significantly because I'm trying to simplify it. This is what we call the emotional scale. The emotional scale. There are so many words I eliminated there. Appreciation, gratitude, all those positive words will be in the realm of acceptance or in between acceptance and love. And then you have anger and fear and shame and guilt and regret. All of those fall between anger and fear. Collapse is the flow. These are the times when we shut off certain areas of our life when we feel overwhelmed to focus on one or two things. Sometimes I need to use this strategically, you need to use this strategically. But the question is, emotionally, with regards to the practice of your emotional resilience, how quickly can you bounce off back to where you are? Now, the question is, if you were to look at this past day, yesterday for you, if you were to look at how the first part of the year has gone so far, where do you think you have been most of the time? Where might most of the time your emotional scale be in? And I specifically want you to pay attention to neutrality. In fact, neutrality is neutrality stroke boredom. The majority of your year is going to entail neutral circumstances, neutral situations, neutral hours. This is called neutrality stroke boredom stroke the room for distraction, the room for dysfunctional relationship with variety, the room for scrolling. Because when we set goals, we see the end point. It's very exciting. We have the beginning. It's very, very exciting. But there is no end without the boring middle. Nobody celebrates the boring middle. Nobody's going to show up at your door and they're like, today is day 23 of the daily reset. You still showed up? Oh my goodness. When you're completing the year saying, oh, it's been 200 days, someone will say, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Nobody celebrates day 19, day 27, day 35. Nobody celebrates those, except that is where the growth shows up. When you ask yourself the question, am I man enough? Am I woman enough? It's not about the graduation. It's not about the engagement. It's about the messy middle, the boring middle. The no highlight middle. Everybody shows up for your graduation. Nobody shows up for that evening when you are tired, you are hungry, you have a flu, but you still have to sit down and study. Nobody shows up for your business. They show up when you are launching a new product. Nobody shows up on that morning when you wake up, there is no power, your business contacts have gone off on you, they've disappeared, your suppliers are nowhere to be seen. Nobody shows up for the messy middle. In your day, the hours you're going to waste are the hours when you are in neutral mode. Those are the hours you waste. The hours of drive, you move. When you are angry, sometimes you can actually make so much progress. Except, that's not progress you can sustain. When you are afraid, why do you think most people meet deadlines? Most people don't meet deadlines because they want to. It's because they are afraid of what will happen. You meet the deadline, you work so hard, Friday evening, you submit the report, Saturday you collapse. So you are living below neutrality. There is no growth without neutrality. Because when you are not neutral, you cannot experience what we call integration. When you are angry, when you are fearful, when you are so driven, you have no time to integrate your learning. You have no time to make the lesson your own. And that's what happens, that we go through life, we face a lot of learning. That learning never becomes our own because we are always on to something. If it's not a job or an assignment or an event, it is scrolling on social media. Our brain has no room for neutrality. And yet the majority of my life, the majority of your life, the majority of your career, the insights that truly make a difference, the moments that make your wisdom is not in the fire. It's not at the peak. Your wisdom does not mature when you are in the middle of your own wedding or in the middle of your graduation or when you are beginning to dig the trench for the first time. No, you learn yourself in the messy middle, in the boring middle. The command of the day is feel the day. Feel the day, especially the quiet parts of the day when there's nothing going on. The parts that we say, oh, it's just another day. When things have settled down, when you can hear your own thoughts, when you see your own patterns, when there is not drama, it's not in the midst of a meeting or when there are clients running all over, if you serve clients directly or you have to make so many calls. Feel the day, especially the quiet parts of the day. Because the quiet parts of the day, they create room for you to restore your relationship with neutrality, your relationship with boring. Your biggest assignment in 2026 is to master the boring stuff. To master the boring stuff, the things that happen over and over. To master the boring stuff. There is no mastery without the mastery or becoming really, really comfortable, really good, and continuing to improve on the boring stuff. What is the value of neutrality? What is the value of boring? What's the value of those quiet stretches of the day? Those are the times when you can go to the second and third thought. When you are angry, by default, you only respond from the first thought. There is no room to bring up the second or third thought. When you are afraid, there is no room to go to the second or third thought. And that is how neutrality becomes a pathway for you to thicken, deepen, expand, elevate your own mental models. How do you think? How do you view what is going on? What is your perspective? The path to depth, the path to deep aliveness, deep fulfillment, deep meaning, deep connection is an improved relationship with neutrality. Because if I cannot feel it, if I cannot feel the entirety of my life, absorb the day when things are neutral, if I need stimulation to feel alive, if I need dopamine to feel alive, I will remain running. I'm always running, such that it's like, oh, it was just, the week was, there's really nothing going on. It's not nothing going on. It's nothing exciting, nothing distracting, nothing intense going on. And yet the majority of my life, majority of your life is that segment, that boring segment. All the learning, all the growth that truly makes a difference. The intense moments, whether it is fear or learning or work, the intense moments, they create the fodder that we can distill, that we can harvest from. But after the fodder, whatever you harvest, after it's harvested, it has to be processed. And it's processed during the quiet season. The processing happens throughout. Planting season is at the beginning, harvest season is at the end. Then we wait for months. Sometimes we wait for years before you can actually harvest. Feel the day. Score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Yesterday, other than the highlights and the intense moments and the very busy moments, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of the quiet part of the day would you say you felt, you experienced? Because the quiet part of the day is when you experience yourself and your relationship with this season of your life. Yourself and your relationship with the structure of the day. You cannot discover your dips and peaks without that awareness. You cannot discover your most productive moments. You cannot unearth your deepest insights that show up quietly. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and perceive. Be still and receive. Be still and think. Feel the day. So that was yesterday. How about today? Now, as you go into today, knowing that the majority of your hours are going to be quiet or neutral or boring hours, the majority of them, if it was upon you, there's a good chance it's upon you, but if it was upon you and you are choosing to what extent you want to feel this day, what level would you point it towards? If you cannot feel the day, you cannot choose your state. You can choose your strategy, you can choose your story, but you can't choose your state, except when you are in a lousy state, you make lousy meaning out of simple actions. Just like I said, somebody whispers in your ear and you're like, why are they disrespecting me? No, they were trying to communicate a message to you. You've just been triggered by a whisper because you're in a lousy state. When you're in a lousy state, it doesn't take much for you to give up on the actions you are taking. In other words, your story and your strategy get colored by the state you are in. But the state can be subconscious because you do not feel what is going on. What are the aibs of your energy? What are the aibs of your attention? What is it you are paying attention more to in that moment? You don't go to gratitude, you don't go to acceptance, you don't go to appreciation, you don't go to the higher emotions until you come to neutrality. And what sometimes happens is we come from some of the lower registers, as I call them. You come from there. The lower registers are always emotional, but sometimes the higher registers are intellectual. I am so grateful for, it's very easy to say it. The question is, if I took a sample of your blood, will I see biochemistry that tells me that you feel what you are talking about. Because I can tell you, if I took a blood sample of your blood when you are angry, you don't need to tell me what you're feeling. I will see the level of cortisol, the level of adrenaline. I will see what is going on. I just need the heart rate, blood pressure, your breathing, and I will know and see your carbon dioxide. I'll be like, there's no carbon dioxide in this blood because they're breathing so fast. They've expelled all of it, right? The lower registers, we feel them. The higher registers, we think them. When you think about gratitude as an emotion, and not the passing emotion, an emotion that you can sit here and remember that this is what it feels like. Because that's the pathway we want to travel towards. But that pathway, you cannot get there unless you come from neutrality. Because then you can actually even calibrate and see what gratitude actually feels like and train your body to feel it. Feel the day. Feeling the day is the pathway to emotional sovereignty. It's so interesting that you get to a point when you can tell I am about to be frustrated, and it's it's you can tell you're like, I am about to be frustrated. I need to walk out of this meeting for 2 minutes because I'm about to slap somebody. When it happens to me in the presence of patients, sometimes I've never slapped a patient. I need to clarify. I need to clarify that I've never slapped a patient. I worked too hard for this license to lose it like that. But I will tell you, a patient sits there. I'm like, your hemoglobin A1C is now 10. It's like, I'm taking my insulin, I'm taking all my medications. I don't know what's happening. And I'm sitting there and I can feel that tension rising. And this is probably for me has been the most transformative thing. Even I think probably the one thing that has led me to a season when I find that I have so much energy even at the end of the day is because of that growing awareness, such that my energy, there's a part of my energy that I still hope I can be in control of, but there's an extent to which I become aware about what is about to happen. And that's because of what we call interoception. Let me type this in the chat box. Interoception. Interoception, sensing what is going on. Sensing, becoming sensitive to what is going on. This is the biggest battle in my life. Just how frequently my brain leaves, and then suddenly I realized, like, oh, I'm no longer paying attention. So this is your challenge too. So join me in the battle. This is interoception, being able to sense, and it's going to feel very weird when you start sensing it. When you can feel your emotion shifting. Nothing moves without emotion. Nothing moves without emotion. Feel the day. Feel the day. Your biggest challenge in 2026 is to master the boring stuff. Your biggest challenge in 2026 is to master the boring stuff. Watch your relationship with neutrality. Watch your relationship with boring. Watch your relationship with the messy middle. There is no going to the higher registers without going through neutrality without going through boring, without going through quiet, without going through still. So this is the final thing I will share today. This is an experiment for everyone who struggles to wake up to the alarm. Find a day during the weekend and practice your response to the alarm. And I mean it exactly as I say it. Practice your response to the alarm. You will set the alarm intervals 5 times. Even if it's every 5 minutes, and you actually get in your covers. And the alarm rings, and you wake up, you don't touch the phone. You decide how you will respond. You don't touch the phone, you sit up, then you turn it off and you go back. You do it 5 times consecutively. This is probably not for everyone, but I will tell you, if we went to sleeping competitions, none of you will come anywhere near me. Gold medal is mine. I promise you, the gold medal is mine. Let me tell you how I survived. Did I raise my own hand? Let me tell you, I survived through medical school, through medical residency, through fellowship. The nights when I'm on call, my ringing tone is the same as my alarm. So if somebody calls, I don't need to think. I will hear that sound and I'm up, because I conditioned that response. Now, some of you who are blessed with deeper sleep like me, you may need to do it in 3, 4, 5 weekends. Like in the course of 30 minutes, you do it several times. Your brain will lock it in. Waking up will never be an issue for you again, ever. And you will be back here to tell me that that is what happened. So that you can stop letting the crackerhead brain in the morning try to decide whether to snooze the alarm or sleep for 10 more minutes. Because I think this is so important, especially because we've committed to do the daily reset. Nothing moves without emotion. And now we will move on and do the daily reset, starting off with the declaration of intentionality. Does anybody have any question, first of all, before any question? If there's no question, I'll have to ask somebody to sing a song. That's what I tell my patients. I don't force them to, but if you don't ask me a question in the office, you have to sing a song, and they always come up with a question. So, any question? No question? Let me hear someone's voice. Anyone? I don't want to select anyone.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here, and I love the boring middle. That's where I've mastered my foundations at. Thank you.
Gladys is back. I saw you when I was already midway. I was like, no, let me wait. I'll talk to you at the end. Yeah, thank you for joining back in. And of course, it's an honor to have you. Our coach, Madam Isabel, had her hand up.
Yes. Good morning. I'm ready to read, and I'm ready to master the boring time, the boring moment.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And with that, we will proceed with verbalizing. Now, I don't want you to just verbalize. Today, make it a challenge for you to not just say the words, actually feel. Each of these lines, this used to be almost a full page. Each of these lines, it means something very specific to me. And I hope that the original intention remains intact, so that each time you interact with it, at least 1 or 2 lines stand out. You don't know which one it is. As you say it, catch the emotion behind it. Nothing moves without emotion. Find the emotion of intentionality in 1 or 2 lines and you don't know which one it's going to be, you just receive all of them. Make sure you verbalize it with emotion. Don't just speak it intellectually. And there we go. I used to feel powerless. Can you imagine? I used to feel powerless. I used to allow external forces and limiting beliefs to hold me back. But now I say, enough is enough. From this moment, I am seizing back my power. Today, I have decided to direct my intentions. I am committed to master my focus. I have resolved to take command of my actions. Today, I'm shading outdated beliefs, outdated mindsets, and outdated perceptions. I am determined to shape my reality with purpose. I am eager to unlock my true potential. And I am willing to move to my next level. Your daily research remains the same as yesterday. Just find alternative words to express exactly the same thing. Your focus is regulated execution. Find your own language to represent that. Your intention is to convert friction into flow. When you convert friction into flow, you go from whatever realm, whatever register you are at towards neutrality. You are releasing fighting what you feel. You're fighting what you feel. You stop fighting what you feel and start feeling what you feel. You feel the day. You're claiming emotional sovereignty. And you're permitting yourself to pause before you react. You're permitting yourself to feel what you are feeling before you react, to be aware of what is going on. You're permitting yourself to practice interoception before you respond. It's time for you to proceed with the rest of your daily reset. I look forward to see you again tomorrow. My name is Dr. Mogire from the House of Mastery. Where I come from, they call me Chobu. And I look forward to see you tomorrow. Goodbye.